In Dragon Ball Super Hero, Piccolo has unlocked Orange Piccolo, and how well do you really know Piccolo? I know I've covered him in the past, but there's a lot deeper stuff going on now, not just with Orange Piccolo, but also earlier in the series. So today we're going to look at Piccolo's growth from Dragon Ball Z into superhero, and really dig deep about why he's Toriyama's favorite character, what makes him so great, and the secret roots of Orange Piccolo. And by the way, this will have spoilers for Dragon Ball Super Hero. Let's get to it next. Welcome to another edition of Dragon Ball X Saiyuki, where we look at the deeper roots of the characters that Toriyama has created from Journey to the West. And joining me once again, as always, is Jordan the Dragon Lee. And I want to remind you guys that this video will contain spoilers for Dragon Ball Super Hero. So if you have not seen that film, we will be discussing that. Not all of this video, but we'll have some brief discussions on it during this topic. So we're talking all about Piccolo today, and we're going to be discussing the ideas and the concepts behind Toriyama's creation of this character. Now, I did do a video called The History of Piccolo, which I went into explicit detail about a lot of the ideas behind the yin and yang of Piccolo and, stuff like that. So make sure you check that video out, because I go into a lot of that here. But what I didn't really go into too much is some of the Journey to the West ideals and how that ties into Dragon Ball Super Hero. So, Jordan, you saw the History of Piccolo video. I covered a lot of the stuff in there. Is there any key point that you think I may have missed in that video that you want to discuss here today?
Yeah, so basically, I would like to point out why, in my opinion, Piccolo is Toriyama's favorite character, as he stated multiple times. And it's because he basically took part of the Monkey King story and created his own original character who sort of complements the original story, but makes it completely original and cool in a very creative and, interesting way. So Piccolo, as we know, he comes from planet Namek, and he started off what's known as the Nameless Namekian. And
the son of Katatsu, as they say.
And one very interesting thing about that is the Monkey King, Sun Wukong, when his story first starts, he is nameless. He doesn't have a name. He starts off as a nameless character. He actually doesn't get a name until he meets his master Subhuti, who gives him the surname Sun Wukong. So the Nameless Namekian, the inspiration for Piccolo being nameless, more than likely came from the Monkey King also starting off nameless. And so Piccolo, he's sent to Earth, and he's heavily influenced by Earth. Now, the interesting thing about that is Goku, the way he's influenced by Earth, is he's purified by it. Grandpa Gohan purifies and tames Goku. And with Piccolo, it's the exact opposite. Goku experiences the evil of mankind, and that really, it causes doubt within him, and that's part of the reason that Kami has to, he has to get rid of that portion of his character before he can become God. And it's very reminiscent of the effect that Earth had on Wukong when he was first born. When he was first born, and he even desired to be the Monkey King, just like Piccolo desired to rule the Earth. As a matter of fact, that's a reoccurring theme amongst the characters in Dragon Ball, because it's sort of Toriyama's way of making Goku a character who's sort of a iteration of Sun Wukong after his development, facing aspects of his past. You'll notice that there's King Piccolo, there's King Vegeta, there's King Cold. Everybody's got some sort of role. I mean, even Pilaf, everybody has some sort of superiority complex, and they want to rule over everything, and that is to mirror the way the Monkey King was whenever he was at his worst. Like, Toriyama, he started taking inspiration for the more evil traits of Sun Wukong through Piccolo. The first character that he ever really took inspiration from for that portion of the story was Piccolo.
Yeah, he did it for Vegeta and other villains later on, but people have to remember that after Red Ribbon and after the first arc, the Pilaf arc, Piccolo was the first true like super villain of the series. The first character derived from demons. The first character that later on we found out he was an alien. That was kind of a retcon from Toriyama. The first character that actually legitimately threatened the world. Even in Red Ribbon, Commander Red's goal, as we found out in the last 3 episodes of the arc, was he wanted to grow taller. It wasn't world domination. Piccolo wanted to actually see people suffer. So he, I think, represents the worst of Sun Wukong, maybe even worse than he was in Journey to the West.
Interesting thing about Commander Red and his little man complex. Wukong in the actual story has a little man complex. He's actually very small. And people are constantly like picking on him for his size. So that's something else that Toriyama is playing with there. So Piccolo, he has the big ears. He has the ability to hear far and wide. That's a reference to the character that Vegeta is based on, the entire Saiyan race, the six-eared macaque. He has the ability to hear everything in the universe. So that's part of the inspiration for Piccolo's ability to be able to hear so well. Is that was an ability that Wukong's, ego equivalent had, was the ability to, and the reason that was so important for that character is because he had the ability to eavesdrop. He could learn abilities and do things on his own that people normally could. It just fed his ability to be able to do things independently, right? Because he didn't have to have a master to teach him things. He could just overhear it and learn it himself.
Yeah, with the Namekian ears, you know.
So, in Journey to the West, Sun Wukong eventually, before he can completely move on and become a Buddha, he has to face someone from his past. And this someone from his past is basically his biggest fanboy. He looks up to Sun Wukong so much that he has copied him, he emulates him, and he acts like who he used to be in the past. And within the story, he's a metaphor for Wukong's ego. He's the evil portion of Sun Wukong's character, so to speak. And before Sun Wukong can move on to become a Buddha, he has to defeat this character, which is very reminiscent of the nameless Namekian not being able to become Kami, or God, until he splits himself from his evil counterpart.
Let's not forget about how awesome it was after Goku defeated Piccolo. It was after he beat Piccolo that he was granted the ability to go to the heavens and meet God.
Yep, that's true.
That's deep. That's Journey to the West 101 right
there. Yeah, exactly. That's a great point. Piccolo here recently in Dragon Ball Superhero, he's really come full circle. Like, that's something that's really cool to think about, considering that King Piccolo basically rebirthing himself is also kind of symbolic of reincarnation. So he reincarnated himself. He had his ego humbled by Goku, and that sets off this chain of events that completely changes him as a character. He starts off, just helping Goku defeat Raditz out of necessity because he wants to take over Earth. And then eventually, the necessity to survive causes him to make decisions that he wouldn't normally make, such as take care of Gohan and train him and stuff like that. And eventually we see his character come full circle. And, now he's training Pan. And something I thought that was really cool about Dragon Ball Superhero was the fact that they pointed out multiple times that Piccolo was also Kami. They actually call him Kami a few times in the film.
After they fused, because he's still got God inside of him. Kami's still, he is Kami,
right?
Really,
and Kami,
he just didn't take the job.
Yeah,
again.
And Kami's job as the God of Earth was to help develop mortals, right? That was his kind of like he watched over the Earth, and he wanted Earthlings to basically take care of themselves and not rely on him and develop in their own way. And in Dragon Ball Superhero, we see Piccolo wish for his potential to be unlocked. And he also gets that symbol on the back of his gi, representative of the tree growing on Namek. And King Piccolo, wishes for youth in the original Dragon Ball. That is very similar to what the Nameks use the Dragon Balls for, which is to keep their planet intact. So it's all about preserving your mortality, preserving your lifespan, which is reminiscent of Wukong in the early portions of the story concerned with the fact that he's going to age. The entire reason that he goes after immortality is because he realizes that his life is finite. And that's actually something the Saiyans and the Nameks both have in common. They're constantly doing things unnatural to preserve their lives and preserve their survival. But in the Nameks case, anytime a brave Namekian warrior successfully, protected Namek or, kept it from the brink of destruction, he would be rewarded with a wish from the Dragon Balls. To me, it seems like within the film, because if you think about Piccolo merged with Kami, but he also merged with Nail. And Nail was the perfect example of that brave Namekian warrior who would make a selfless decision if he had the chance to use the Dragon Balls.
He was the Namekian from Namek. Like, he was, outside of, actually, including Dende, the first Namekian that Piccolo ever interacted with since coming to Earth was Nail.
That's right. Yeah.
From Namek.
Yeah.
And that's something that people forget. Like, he was flying on Namek, and he felt him injured after the fight with Frieza, and then looked down and went to go see him, and that's when the whole fusion thing happened, the Namekian merger. And I also loved how the movie, because of what you're saying, the dragon gave him a bonus, because there's a lot of reasons for this. Obviously, the dragon is of Namekian origin, because the balls were
Kami
from Namek.
made him.
Dende's a Namekian. Yeah. Kami made the original Shenlong, and then Dende upgraded him, and we saw the upgrade in the film, and the upgrade allowed him to... The upgrade allowed him to grant this wish where he gave him this secret... He unlocked a secret Namekian power, which we now know as Orange Piccolo, and the symbol on Orange Piccolo's back is from the tree of planet Namek. So this Orange Piccolo, this new form, is something that's deeply rooted in the past of the Namekian race that we didn't know about until now, because Toriyama didn't think of it. That's the real story. Mm-hmm. But there was talk in the Namek arc of a super Namekian, and we always thought it was, the fusion of Piccolo and Kami, the son of Katatsu, nameless Namekian. And perhaps it was, but we thought the super Namekian was born when Kami and Piccolo re-merged. Looks like now Toriyama might be implying that Orange Piccolo is the form that the Super Namekian takes, because it is like a Super Saiyan
It is, like his antennas stick up and everything. But it's very interesting that Piccolo goes through this process. Like, I noticed within the film that the reason Piccolo is using the Dragon Balls to have his potential unlocked is because he's concerned with his ability to protect Pan and everyone else. He's not just doing it to become stronger. He's concerned because Gohan's slacking. Goku and Vegeta aren't there. So he's making the wish with pure intentions. Like, he's not just doing it. He's not like he was whenever he was King Piccolo and he's doing it so he could take over the world. He's doing it because he's genuinely concerned with protecting the Earth. And that's something that Kami actually talks about in the original Dragon Ball whenever he's talking to Goku. He actually straight up tells Goku that it wouldn't do any good for the people of Earth to think that God will just fix everything for them. And in the end, the Earthlings must learn to depend on their own powers and fight their way through. And that even the Dragon Balls make you prove yourself for one miracle.
Not just that, but in the film, we literally witnessed Piccolo telling Gohan, you got to take this seriously because we're not always going to have Goku and Vegeta here to rescue everyone. And yes, Gohan is half human, but he is half human. He's still an Earthling. He was born and raised there from blood of his mother, who's Earthling. So I think it all kind of makes sense.
Yeah. Kami straight up tells Goku that the only reason he remakes the Dragon Balls is because of Goku. He tells Goku that as long as someone like him exists, that he thinks the Dragon Balls should exist. And Piccolo basically becomes the same type of person that Kami appreciates through his character development. And his character is basically coming full circle in the same way we've seen Krillin and other people in the past, through using the Dragon Balls to do what he feels is right with pure intentions. Like he genuinely wants to protect and be there for the people of Earth now. And that's kind of where his character lies at this point. Like, he has become the sole example of a warrior race Namekian who, would be respected amongst their tribe. Like, he's come full circle. And, in a sense, the Namekians, they're good. Like, they're the good guys. You can say what you want.
They're pure.
Yeah, they're pure. So that, in a sense, that really goes to show you the character development that Piccolo went through. You know, Kami is a great example of the potential the Namekians have to be good at heart, but the fact that Piccolo himself reached that point within the story now, and he's keeping up, like, according to Toriyama, he's reaching the levels of Goku and Vegeta. You know, his character has really come full circle, and he's really been rewarded for ending up the way that he has. I mean, of course, you know, Toriyama said that Piccolo's his favorite character, so he just bumped him up because he loves him. But the way he...
Right, I mean, because his arc was already complete when he turned good and, you know, refused with Kami. This stuff in Superhero is just extra... You know, I guess extra mayonnaise on the sandwich, extra sprinkles on the ice cream because he loves Piccolo so much. But it still is part of the Journey to the West ideology.
Yeah, I would say the main development that Piccolo goes through within the Dragon Ball superhero movie is basically pulling a Goku in the Cell Saga and having complete faith in Gohan's ability to take care of the job. Because if you remember, whenever, you know, he was facing Goku, or whenever he was facing Cell in the you know, Cell Saga, Piccolo, you know, he didn't think Gohan had it in him. Whereas in this film, it's entirely about him doing the same thing that Goku did whenever Gohan was fighting Cell and manipulating him into getting mad so he can take care of business. So in that sense, his confidence for Gohan has matched Goku's at this point. Gohan is, in a sense, kind of like a representation of his opinion on everyone on Earth as a whole, if you really think about it. Like, he didn't start to...
And himself.
Yeah, he didn't really start to respect anyone until he got a relationship with Gohan. And now he's hanging out with Pan, you know, and he's trying to lead her in the right direction. He's trying to make her a great warrior, a great person. Like, he's taking the development of the next generation into his own hands. But yeah, Piccolo's an awesome character. I definitely think he deserves the title of Toriyama's favorite. He's underrated. I really hope to see more of Orange Piccolo in the future. And
he's a hell of a warrior. He was duking it out with Cell Max at the end of that movie, holding his own for a while until Cell Max got the advantage. I mean, I hope we do see bright things from Piccolo, because Universe 7 is stacked now with power. Not even just Gohan and Beast Gohan. Orange Piccolo and Orange Piccolo can also train and become stronger in that orange form. So there's still a lot more to come. But thank you, Jordan, as always, and thanks everybody for checking out the video. Have a great one, and if you like this video, check these out as well.